They didn't choose you because you were weak. They chose you because you were exactly strong enough to be useful and exactly unaware enough not to notice. That distinction will haunt you once you truly understand it. Most people spend years replaying a friendship that felt real, wondering what they did wrong, wondering why someone who claimed to care about them could vanish so completely the moment they were no longer convenient. And the answer isn't something most people are ready to hear. The answer is that it was never a friendship. It was a transaction, dressed in the language of loyalty. Covert narcissists are not the loud, obvious predators of the psychological world. They are not the ones who scream and dominate. They are the ones who sit next to you at dinner and ask thoughtful questions, remember the name of your childhood dog, and somehow always say the exact right thing at the exact right moment. They feel like home, and that is precisely what makes them so extraordinarily dangerous. The covert narcissist does not walk into your life looking for a fight. They walk in looking for a mirror, and you, without realizing it, reflected back everything they needed to see. Understand what that means on a psychological level. These individuals carry an internal world of profound shame, fragility, and unresolved emptiness that they cannot afford to acknowledge. Their entire psychological architecture is built around avoiding the unbearable feeling of being ordinary, being flawed, being insufficient. And so they outsource that feeling. They find people who will absorb it for them, not through force, through intimacy. The closer you let someone in, the more power they have to use your warmth against you. And the covert narcissist understands this instinctively, even if they could never articulate it consciously. They are drawn to people with depth, because depth means there is more to extract. They are drawn to people with empathy, because empathy means you will hesitate before protecting yourself. They are drawn to people with ambition, because proximity to your light makes them feel luminous without having to generate any of their own. You were not chosen despite your qualities. You were chosen because of them. There is a specific psychological profile that the covert narcissist seeks out, and it is worth examining with brutal honesty. They are not looking for someone broken. A broken person requires too much effort and offers too little status. They are looking for someone whole, someone who has built something real, who feels things deeply, who carries themselves with a quiet dignity that draws others in naturally. They look for the highly empathetic, because the empathetic person will always search for a reason to stay. They will rationalize the narcissist's coldness as stress. They will interpret the silent treatments as emotional complexity. They will work harder and harder to reach someone who was never actually there to be reached. The covert narcissist isn't looking for a friend. They are looking for a function. And the most dangerous part is that the function they need from you is invisible until it is too late. They need your admiration to quiet the voice inside that tells them they are nothing. They need your loyalty to create an audience for their curated identity. They need your forgiveness endlessly because they will endlessly require it. And they need you to never fully understand this, because the moment you do, their value to you disappears completely. Think about how the friendship began. There was likely an intensity to it that felt almost unusual in its warmth, a sense of being deeply seen almost immediately, a feeling that this person understood you in ways that others had never managed. That is not accidental. That is the technique. Psychologists call it love bombing in romantic contexts, but it operates identically in friendship. The covert narcissist studies you. They listen with extraordinary attention in the early stages, not out of genuine care, but out of strategic intelligence gathering. They are learning what you value, what you fear, what you most desperately want to be recognized for, and then they give it to you, perfectly, consistently, just long enough for you to lower every wall you had built. Once the walls are down, the dynamic shifts slowly, almost imperceptibly. The validation becomes less frequent. The warmth becomes conditional.
You find yourself working harder and harder to recreate those early moments, not realizing that you are now chasing something that was never real to begin with. The middle period of a covert narcissist friendship is where the real psychological damage is done, and it is the period that is most difficult to name while you are living inside it. Because nothing is ever overtly cruel. There are no screaming matches. There are no obvious betrayals. What there is instead is a slow, grinding erosion of your self-perception that operates almost entirely beneath your conscious awareness. They will subtly undermine your confidence in the spaces where you feel most capable, and they will do it with just enough plausible deniability that you can't call it out without sounding paranoid. A joke that lands just slightly too close to a real insecurity. A silence when you share good news that replaces the enthusiasm you expected. A comment in front of others that is technically a compliment, but somehow leaves you feeling diminished. You have to understand what is happening on a neurological level. When someone who feels like home begins consistently making you feel small, your nervous system does not immediately identify them as a threat. Instead, it redoubles its efforts to restore the safety it once felt with them. This is called the trauma bond, and it is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that your brain is functioning exactly as designed. The tragedy is that this design, which evolved to protect you, is being weaponized against you by someone who learned to exploit it. The moment of realization, when it finally comes, is one of the most disorienting experiences a person can have, because it does not feel like relief, it feels like grief. You are not just losing a person, you are losing the version of the friendship that you believed in. You are losing the moments that felt real and then retroactively understanding that they may not have been. That is a particular kind of loss that our culture has almost no language for. But here is what Dark Stoicism demands you understand in that moment. The grief is real, even if the friendship wasn't. Your investment was genuine. Your care was genuine. Your loyalty was genuine. None of those things become false simply because the other person was operating from a place of emptiness and strategy.
What you must refuse to do is allow their psychological poverty to become your identity. Their inability to truly connect is not evidence of your unworthiness of connection. It is evidence of their profound internal damage. Damage that you did not create and could never have healed regardless of how much of yourself you sacrificed trying. Most people who emerge from covert narcissistic friendships carry a specific wound that is rarely addressed directly. It is not just the wound of betrayal, it is the wound of self-doubt. Because the manipulation was so subtle and the relationship was so confusing, many people walk away questioning their own perception of reality. They wonder if they were too sensitive. They wonder if they imagined the coldness. They wonder if they somehow caused the dynamic they experienced. This is called gaslighting's long shadow, and it lingers far past the end of the relationship itself. The Stoic response to this is not to rage against the person who left. It is to methodically rebuild your trust in your own perception. You felt something was wrong. You were right. You felt the warmth was inconsistent. It was. You felt like you were being managed rather than known. You were. Your instincts did not fail you. What failed you was the social conditioning that told you loyalty requires ignoring your instincts. There is also something that must be said about the nature of your own selection in this dynamic, not as blame, but as power. The covert narcissist chose you because you have real things, real depth, real warmth, real capability, real presence. Those things are not liabilities. They became liabilities only in the context of a relationship with someone determined to exploit them. The work going forward is not to become colder or more guarded in ways that hollow you out. The work is to develop the specific kind of discernment that recognizes the early signs without requiring you to become someone who withholds themselves from genuine human connection. because that would mean the narcissist won something from you even after they left, and that is the outcome you must refuse with every fiber of your being. The covert narcissist did not choose you because there was something wrong with you. They chose you because there was something profoundly right, and they needed it because they had none of their own. That is the cold, final truth you must carry forward. Your empathy is not a flaw to be corrected. Your depth is not a vulnerability to be sealed. They are the very things that make you capable of the kind of connection the narcissist will spend their entire life pretending to have and never actually experiencing. They will move to someone new. They will perform the same warmth. They will find another mirror. And you will do something they are constitutionally incapable of doing. You will learn. You will integrate. You will become harder to deceive, not because you became harder, but because you became wiser. The person who survives this kind of friendship and understands it clearly is not damaged. They are equipped. Walk forward equipped, not bitter, not broken, not closed. Equipped, and entirely unwilling to be chosen again without being truly, consciously, deliberately known.